Elisa Lam was born on April 30th, 1991 in Vancouver, Canada to Hong Kong immigrants, before growing up to study at the University of British Columbia. In the middle of 2010, Elisa was now 19 years old when she began an online blog documenting her everyday life and struggles with her mental health, as well as sharing photos of models that she admired. By January 2012, her mental health was declining, causing her to drop several classes, leaving her feeling utterly directionless and lost, believing she was simply wasting her entire life. Not long after, she decided to end her original blog to move it over to Tumblr. Elisa had been diagnosed with depression and bipolar disorder and was prescribed several medications for both. In January 2013, she set off to travel to California. Her parents were heavily against her doing this alone, but she was determined to do so. As a compromise, she agreed to call them every single day to assure them that she was okay. She started with San Diego, blogging about the zoo there, and she relocated to Los Angeles on January the 26th. Just 2 days later, she checked into the Cecil Hotel, but would never end up checking back out. Initially, she shared a room on the 5th floor, but her roommates complained about her bizarre behaviour. She would often leave them notes saying "go home" or "go away." She would also lock the door and refuse to let anyone in if they didn't know the password. In the lobby, one staff member even recalled hearing Elisa shout out,
"I am crazy, but so is LA."
After just 2 days, she was moved to her own room. During her stay at the Cecil Hotel, Elisa actually attended a live taping of the Conan O'Brien talk show, but continued showing extremely strange behaviour. She had written a lengthy letter and was trying to get the host to read it on the air. This led to her being escorted out of the premises due to her disruptive behaviour, in fear that she could possibly do something to endanger others. On January the 31st, Elisa was seen in a shop buying some books for her family back home. She was described as being outgoing, very lively and very friendly. Later that same day, she was spotted by hotel staff entering a restricted area before being asked to leave. She was due to check out of the Cecil and head on to Santa Cruz, but this never happened. Elisa Lam would never be seen alive again. Her parents knew that something was very wrong when the day passed and they didn't receive the regular call from Elisa. The police searched the hotel but weren't legally allowed to check every single room as there was no indication that a crime had actually taken place. They searched her room with sniffer dogs and the hotel main rooms, all the way up to the rooftop. The dogs managed to pick up her scent in her room, but it ended at a fire escape. She had vanished into thin air. However, the hotel staff had already moved her belongings out of her room before the police had arrived, possibly contaminating any evidence. The staff claimed that she had left all of her personal belongings behind, and although the room was messy, there were no signs of foul play and no sign of forced entry. The hotel had a notorious history of prostitution, drug dealing, suicides and murders. It's also nearby Skid Row, a dangerous area that can often contain criminals. Elisa had explained on her blog that she enjoyed meeting strangers, and even encouraged it, leading some to believe that she had met someone and they were the cause of what happened to her. On February the 6th, there were still no answers, and flyers were finally passed around. The police searched every possible CCTV of the hotel. They did manage to find footage of the delivery men from the bookstore bringing her goods, but she returned to the interior of the building and never left. She still had to be inside somewhere, and that's when they discovered a tape of her inside an elevator on February the 13th, acting incredibly bizarrely. The video shows Elisa seemingly hiding from someone, making strange gestures with her hands, moving around in erratic ways, hitting all the buttons in the lift, and seemingly talking to someone who is slightly out of the frame. The doors don't close, so it seems to be broken, and she may have just been trying to get it to work. But that doesn't explain the rest of her actions. Only when she leaves do they finally close. The police decided to make this piece of footage public in an attempt to try to get help from anyone who may have any idea what happened to Elisa Lam. Some believe she was trying to escape someone chasing her, despite witnesses only ever seeing her alone that day. She had posted on her blog about a creeper at the hotel that she was trying to avoid. However, others dispute this, claiming that her behaviour in the video looks more playful than fearful. Others believe she may have been under the influence of drugs, or had just not taken her medication for her bipolar disorder. Elisa had a history of doing this, which sometimes led to hallucinations, to the point she would actually hide underneath her own bed. She had been hospitalized at least once in the past from not taking her medication. Others believe she was simply playing the elevator game, which was quite popular at the time. It's a game in which you enter an elevator and hit a sequence of buttons to supposedly enter a different dimension. A demonic woman is said to enter the lift, which may have been why she was looking around. This may seem out of the question, but a lot of internet sleuths were trying this at the time for fun. Some believe it was just a psychotic episode from her bipolar disorder, while others believe the footage may have been tampered with, slowed down, or certain parts removed. The timestamp is blurred, but if you look closely, it proves the video is actually slowed down and some edits can be seen. The hotel denied ever tampering with the tape, and the police force admitted they received the full footage from the hotel, believing that whoever uploaded it to the public may have edited it for unknown reasons, though it's possible that this was done to remove anyone else who may have walked past during the video to protect their identity. Though others believe you can actually see another person's foot in the video, which couldn't have been Elisa's based on her positioning, and this person could have been responsible for her disappearance. Some believing that hotel staff cut out a significant part of the video to protect this person's identity. It could also be the reason why the doors won't close, as someone could have been outside holding the button to prevent them from shutting, as only when she leaves they may have followed her and let go of the button, causing the doors to finally close. By February the 19th, nearly 3 weeks since she went missing, guests in the hotel began to complain about low water pressure and the water coming out brown and having a strange taste. Once a maintenance worker checked the water tank on the roof, he was horrified to discover the naked corpse of Elisa Lam inside the tank with her clothes floating next to her. She still had her watch and room key. They had to drain the tank and cut it open as the maintenance hatch was too small to fit the equipment inside to retrieve Elisa's body. It was decomposed and bloated, but her skin was green with some marbling on the abdomen, and the skin was beginning to separate. She had a very small amount of alcohol in her system, but the only drugs were her bipolar disorder medication. However, this confirmed the fact that she was under-medicated and hadn't been taking her pills correctly, as she had been known for doing in the past. Though some believe she may have had drugs in her system causing her strange actions, but they may have broken down during the decomposition by the time she had been discovered. The coroner's report took months to be made public, and it was initially ruled down as undetermined, though it was then changed to an accidental drowning. However, the police reported that the lid was on the tank, which wouldn't have been possible as there was no ladder inside. Elisa wouldn't have been able to climb inside and then put the lid back on. But this still leaves one question: how she got into the tank in the first place. The doors and stairs to the roof were all locked. Only staff members would have had passcodes and keys to gain access. If the doors were forced open, an alarm would have alerted the main desk. The only access point would have been a fire escape, but weirdly, as explained, the sniffer dogs did find Elisa's scent at the fire escape, but none on the rooftop. suggesting that her body may have been moved there after the initial search. But even if she did manage to somehow gain access to the rooftop, she would have had a difficult time climbing inside the tank itself, especially without being seen. Even the staff need ladders, and the lids are extremely heavy. The staff have admitted that it takes a great deal of effort to gain access themselves, let alone what Elisa would have needed to do entirely on her own. I had to take the elevator to the 15th floor of the hotel before walking up the staircase to the roof. Then I had to first turn off the rooftop alarm and climb up on the platform where the hotel's 4 water tanks were located. Finally, I had to climb another ladder to get to the top of the main tank. Only then did I notice something was unusual. It would have been difficult for her to make it to the top of the tank on her own, at least not without anyone noticing. There were absolutely no signs of anyone else being at the scene of the crime. Elisa's body had no signs of physical or sexual assault, no way of knowing how long she had been inside the tank, no way of knowing where she died, and they couldn't even definitively determine how she died. Her lungs weren't filled with foam or water like most drowned victims. No other fingerprints or DNA were found at the water tanks. It's all a complete mystery. Though others believe she was murdered by a member of the hotel staff, which would explain the elevator video being edited and how she would gain access to the roof so easily. They also would have known Elisa was travelling alone and wasn't mentally stable. Furthermore, a common self-defense technique from experts if you were to be attacked inside an elevator is to hit all of the buttons. She may have been trying to defend herself. Furthermore, in September 2013, 7 months after her death, Elisa's parents filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the hotel for not securing the rooftop enough. The hotel did fight against this and claimed they couldn't be held liable for her death, and it was dismissed 2 years later. The hotel did close temporarily not long after her body was discovered, but once reopened, online creators around the world visited personally to try to solve the case. And it was discovered that it seemed Elisa did head towards the direction of the rooftop from the elevator that day. Furthermore, it was discovered that she had actually hit the door hold button, which would have kept them open for 2 minutes straight. But it's unclear whether or not she had actually realised that she had done this. During the online speculation, musician Morbid was targeted as he had previously visited the hotel, and many of his songs involved Chinese women and death, often portraying himself chasing them in the woods or glorifying serial killers. However, it was proven that he was actually at the hotel a year before the death, and he was actually in Mexico at the time. Due to the online abuse and accusations, however, Morbid was sent death threats and ultimately stopped making music and became suicidal. However, if Elisa was murdered, it would have involved killing her and then squeezing her body between the tanks and climbing up the ladders whilst holding a corpse. The body would have had some cuts or scrapes, but there were no signs of this whatsoever. But what was strange was that Elisa's Tumblr blog continued to be updated months after her death. It's possible that she may have written this prior to disappearing and set them to go live at a later time. But her phone was never found. It wasn't with her body and it wasn't left behind in her room. Someone else could have very well been posting after her death. Even stranger, this entire incident seems to eerily resemble the 2005 movie Dark Water, suggesting if she was murdered, they were copying the feature film. It features a mother and daughter named Dahlia and Cecilia, eerily similar to not only the name of the hotel, but the Black Dahlia killer who did stay there in the past. In the movie, they find dark water leaking from their ceiling, before discovering the above apartment has flooded and the family there have mysteriously vanished. The girl is then found after accidentally falling into the building's water tower and drowning. And to further add to the similarities, there are scenes in the movie where the buttons in the elevator malfunction. The main consensus is that her bizarre behaviour came from her refusal to take her own bipolar medication, which caused her paranoia and strange behaviour. She may have fled to the roof in fear of someone coming to get her. She could have seen the water tank as a perfect hiding space and climbed inside. She may have then undressed to try to stay afloat to survive to no avail. But this doesn't explain how she was able to put the lid back on. However, despite the police initially reporting that it was on when the body was discovered, the man himself who actually found the corpse confirmed that it was off when he made the discovery, though some believe this was part of a cover-up by the police force. What happened to Elisa Lam? Was she a confused and depressed girl who somehow took her own life? Or did she misuse her medication and it was all just a horrific accident? Was somebody else involved and decided to murder an innocent person? The footage of Elisa Lam inside the elevator has circulated the internet for nearly a decade, but we all continue seeking answers.